Thank you for tuning in to Ungentrified with Kent Johnson. Ungentrified takes a pure, unfiltered view on pop culture, music and television, film, politics, current events, and topics central to the worldwide Black community. Ungentrified is an audio safe space for celebrating Black culture in its purest form. Thank you guys for joining us. With me today, I have two very special people that I'll be introducing to you shortly. But before we get into who's with me, we're going to talk about what's going on in the world right now. So, first things first, the thing that's kind of on everybody's radar is these bombings in Austin. Have you ladies been keeping up with that?
Yes.
Did you see we had a fifth bombing this morning? A box with nails in it. At a FedEx.
Right. It didn't reach its destination.
Right, but it left Austin and was supposed to come back to Austin.
Wow.
So I'm curious to know what the address was. But a lot of the talk that we've seen lately has been around now that white people have been victims of it. Now it's a national concern. Whereas the first three were either Black or Mexican.
Right, Black and Mexicans.
So what do you guys think about that?
I find it interesting that despite what's going on, the White House still doesn't want to call this like an act of terrorism. And I just think it's always funny how they pick and choose what is a terrorist attack and like what isn't. It's like, how are these bombings that are going on in this one concentrated area, how is that not domestic terrorism?
Right. And we got the standard thoughts and prayers finally today.
Of course.
But it's like, what took so long?
Right.
And why do we have to go through this every single time?
Right.
And it just reminded me and I know probably both of you remember there's a DC sniper, like when everybody was on edge in DC, just going about their regular day. Because I think the fourth one was a tripwire. They kind of set the bomb off that injured the two white people. So my thinking is, I don't know if those white people were the intended victims.
Right. Or they just caught up. Right.
Right. And who was this FedEx package going to?
Right.
So, hopefully they can get this situated right away. But I hate to think that, I hate to acknowledge the fact that I know that Black people are being targeted.
Absolutely. Was it, I don't know if it was the first or the second, but the victim was like a 17-year-old boy and had like this promising future. And like, that's just awful to think. That's a standard thing to do is, let me come out of my house and get this package.
Yeah. Right. And just think about now in this day and age, like with Amazon Prime and how many things you have coming to your house on a regular basis. Every other day, and I hope I'm not setting myself up to get robbed. Every other day something's on my doorstep. And I wouldn't want to be worried about what it is, it's just crazy to think.
It's scary.
Yeah. So another thing in the news right now, this is kind of like hot off the presses, is one of your faves, and I guess it's kind of in line with topics today, has been messing around with the orange clown, his son. So last night it came out that Aubrey O'Day from Danity Kane was having an affair with Donald J. Trump Jr. while she was filming The Apprentice, and that is the reason why he is caught up in some divorce drama.
Right. Of all people. That's just crazy to me because I was talking about it in our group chat today, and I was like, you really couldn't resist. Like, he was around here like, I want him. Like, really? Of all people. But okay.
Money.
I guess.
Money. She goes after people with money.
I guess. I don't.
Yeah, and like I said, it brought me back to Making the Band when her and Diddy just had that weird interaction with one another. And I was
very weird vibe.
Something is happening. They're a little too familiar, and she and her comfort was more than like the white woman comfort
right.
situation.
Right.
It just immediately brought me back to that. But I think you mentioned she wrote songs.
Yeah, she allegedly wrote 2 songs about this whole thing. One of the songs was called DJT, which could be, Donald J. Trump. And then the other one was a remix to another song. And she basically was just, she pretty much told on herself and was like, I still think about you and I wonder about what we could have had and all this. I'm just like, over this, man? Right. Are we looking at the same person? I don't know.
Maybe in the rooms in The Apprentice while they filming, maybe the makeup makes them look better.
Maybe I don't know.
Maybe she doesn't care about looks. I don't know.
But like the Twitter investigators are now pulling up like old tweets between them, and nothing good is going to come of this.
Of course not. Yeah. I thought she was still with Pauly D, but now at this point,
I think people were tagging him too.
Really?
Like, and this whole thing, like,
look at your girl. Right? A mess.
And the final thing. So recently, Angela Bassett, mother of all things great in Black Hollywood, recently, Queen of Wakanda, Queen Ramonda. Shout out to Wakanda. She recently stated that she agreed that she was robbed way back in the day for her outstanding performance as Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do With It. Do you ladies agree?
Yes. As a person who's seen very little Black movies, as Lexi will tell you, I actually saw this. And I agree. She was amazing. I don't see how she could not have. Who won that year? Do you know?
I was just about to ask
not
you.
Her.
Yeah. Right.
So she was actually nominated.
Yeah.
So because I'm wondering who was she up against? Like it had to be.
Well, I remember there was like a Jet or an Ebony with her, Lawrence Fishburne, and Denzel Washington on the cover, and it was kind of reminiscent of the conversations we have now. It was Oscar So White, like the '90s version. And when you look at it, like, What's Love Got to Do With It had all of the makings of an Oscar-winning movie.
Right.
Like, we know biographies almost always win or in there, and then there was like nobody else that year that was really killing it that way. And then I'm like, even taking off the appreciation I have for it as, its moment in Black culture.
Right.
It was a great movie.
It was.
Like, so how could she be overlooked? And then to know, like, Angela Bassett's entire career and to know that she's been killing it forever, like, that wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a one-time thing.
No.
It blows my mind. But it's crazy to know that she felt that way, too. You know?
They probably didn't watch the movie, though. I feel like a lot of the times the committees, are they really... It's not like they're sitting there making sure, like, you have to watch every movie so you can make a clear decision. Right. And, but I don't know. I wonder back then. I'm sure now they're actually going through every single movie and watching everything. Maybe.
Not even now. Like, with Get Out recently, a lot of the people at the Academy was like, I'm not watching it because I don't even think it belongs in that category to begin with. And they were forthcoming about it.
That should be a requirement, though. Yeah. It should be a requirement. If something's nominated, then it should be a requirement that they have to watch it.
Yeah. And this is after... the diversity pushes that they did last year to include more people of color or of different genders or different backgrounds into the Academy to kind of shake this up. And they still have people like, nope, not watching it.
Right.
So I can only think, back then that it was even worse. Yeah. So I know you guys are probably wondering who I've been talking to for the last couple of minutes. And I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves. Ladies, why don't you tell the world who you are?
Okay, my name is Alexis Felder, also known as Lexi. Some people in the streets call me Lexi with the curls.
In the streets.
In the streets. They call me Lexi with the curls. I am the, what's my new title? The editorial operations manager for Bossip.com, and I work with Global Grind and Hip Hop Wired. And in my day life, or I guess evening life, I have a website called LexiWithTheCurls.com, and I am a lifestyle influencer based in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, my name is Dani Canada. Everyone calls me Dani, Dani Canada. I'm an associate editor at Bossip.com. I occasionally do TV here and there. I do a show called Sister Circle every other Thursday, and I will be back on VTV this summer. So
Hey.
That's me.
Shout out to television.
Hey. A little bit.
Here and there, and during the summertime.
Here and there.
And I brought these two ladies here today because I thought that they would be the best subject matter experts on today's topic, which is dealing with problematic faves and quote unquote cancel culture, which is kind of taken our community by storm in the last 2 years or so. I don't remember canceling folks before this. But it's gotten to a point where we don't give anybody a chance at all. And I felt it was worthy of discussion and that you two were worthy of discussing it with me. Mm-hmm. So let's lay the foundation. Okay. What do you think cancel culture is? If you could define cancel culture, if you were writing for UrbanDictionary.com, what would you define cancel culture as?
Cancel culture.
Well, it is a cancer. I agree.
Cancerous cancel culture. It's basically, these days, it's kind of like when people have digital pitchforks and they're behind somebody, like, get away with him, off with his head. So it's kind of this movement of where someone can do one thing and we as people deem it unforgivable, mainly on social media, on things like Twitter, on things like Facebook. And all of a sudden they're canceled. They do maybe one thing wrong and it's a wrap. And if you don't conform to that, then you're wrong as well.
Yeah, so same. I would say my Urban Dictionary, it would be...
Since you're from the streets.
Right, since I'm from the streets. It would be when someone from Twitter with a lot of followers or someone digs up something from someone and puts it on blast and that happens to go viral, everyone feels like they have to be a part of whatever movement it is, and they're not actually researching for themselves. So,
yeah, a lot of times I think the pitchforks come out, and then there's somebody in the back who's trying to confirm and hoping that everybody's on the right path, and a lot of times they aren't.
Right, absolutely.
But I'm glad I think you both brought up Twitter as kind of like the source of cancel culture, because I think everything kind of breaks on Twitter first, and then our grandmothers are talking about it 2 weeks later on Twitter. I mean, not on Twitter, on Facebook.
Did you hear about?
Right. Did you see this Mimi?
Right. Mimi. Not the Mimi. This Mimi was so funny.
Yeah, but as powerful as Black Twitter can be for positive things, it has this dark side.
Absolutely.
And some of the people who push the positive agendas are on that dark side at the same time. And we'll cancel people for such small things. Sometimes people
need it.
Yeah, they need to be canceled. And sometimes I'm waiting for folks to be canceled. Right. And like you said, I don't have enough followers to push that movement. It's a cancellation internally. I'm waiting on everybody else to get on board. But that sometimes I'm like, no, we can't do that to this person. Or when we cancel them for doing exactly what we appreciated for them. We've seen that lately with Tiffany Haddish. People are now like, oh, well, she
talks too much.
Yeah, she in certain rooms now. She can't act like that. But 2 weeks ago, y'all was Black Girl Magic in her.
Yeah, like she's being herself and she can,
See, now Tiffany Haddish doesn't bother me. Tiffany Haddish is Tiffany Haddish. I don't know. I feel like there are some people that deserve to be canceled. Like, I've canceled Chris Brown, and I have for years. I know Lexi still supports and goes to his concerts.
Yes.
But I can't rock with Chris Brown. I really can't.
And that was going to be my next question. Thank you for the great segue. Like, who have you canceled recently? Or have you canceled someone recently? You said Chris Brown?
Yeah.
Oh, so a recent person that I've canceled. I'm trying to think.
Or do you subscribe to cancel culture?
I don't actually, because I actually hate it. Like, they know, like, even when we talk about a show on TV, if everybody says, oh, this show is trash or this show is amazing, I don't even want to see it because I'm just like, y'all doing too much. Like, it's too much of like the Twitter and it's everybody into the same thing. So generally, I'm one of those people that I'm going to go against whatever anybody else says anyway, but I'm also going to do research. So I just don't feed into the Twitter canceling, like, because a lot of times I know they're not doing any research. So that's really my bigger issue is that, did y'all read? Did y'all see the movie that y'all talking about? Did y'all because you can tell a lot of times when they're canceling something, did y'all see the police report? Did y'all actually read it? Did y'all but we know that's not happening. Right. So I think that's why I don't even really, I don't really buy into it. I really don't. But my canceling, I had canceled out R. Kelly back in the day. And I guess it's weird because Dani and I, for her birthday, we went to this party and they were playing so much R. Kelly. And we were dancing. I was like, I haven't heard
which party?
At your birthday, at DJ Jelly. Jelly was playing so much R. Kelly.
Was he? Well, I was a little intoxicated.
But when I said everybody was dancing, we all kind of were like, we feel kind of bad, but like, damn, I forgot about this song because you don't hear R. Kelly in the club anymore. You do not hear R. Kelly at all anymore.
You know, so I was at a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and the crowd was pretty much like a super religious crowd.
Yeah.
So they're already like, all right, we checking the playlist to see what's being played. No, can't play that because it's suggestive. Can't do that because it's demonic. But sure enough, Step in the Name of Love came on.
Of
I'm
course.
like,
that song's okay though. That to people, you know.
I know.
And then it trips me out that, you know, we have so much evidence, regardless of how a court ruled, that certain things happen, but you know, somebody's buying that album, somebody's buying that concert.
There are aunties who will support R. Kelly to the day he dies.
Yeah, and don't think anything wise of it.
No.
Dani, I'm on the same boat as you. I canceled Chris Brown a long time ago, and for me, when I cancel folks, it happens at the point of the incident.
Right.
So anything that happens before is still kind of pure to me because I have memories attached to that you know, are of this new person. Yeah. But anything after that incident it don't even exist to me. Yeah. Like everybody was going off about the Freaky Friday video, the Chris Brown video, and I'm hearing that's great, and I'm like, me neither. It's like it's not even on my radar.
So have y'all seen like Chris Brown's been reposting people talking, basically saying like, you know, we can separate him from this. Like, I like this video, I like his music still, but he reposted a couple of people just saying like, well, forget what everybody else is saying. Like, I know he did this. Y'all keep talking about him beating up on Rihanna, but this song is good, and he's still talented. He's one of the most talented people alive right now.
I remember. It was maybe a couple of months after the Rihanna incident. He was here in Atlanta at Lennox. It was one of the last times I stepped foot in Lennox during the weekend. But so of course everybody's going crazy in the mall. And I remember this mother like pushing her teenage daughter onto him. Wow. And I'm like, yo, really?
Like, did you just read?
Like, the grace period ain't even over. Right. We can't even fake like it's okay. I was like, it just blew my mind how some people were able to completely disregard that. My thing with Christopher was that he kept doing stuff that let me know that everything that happened that night happened. And he didn't seem any kind of apologetic.
Yeah. I don't think he's in any way really redeemed himself from that. And the thing is, I will never take away his talent. He's a talented artist. He makes good music, sure, but that doesn't mean I need to go out and he's not getting any of my money because of what he does. You know, it's like, I can acknowledge that. Yes, he's very talented. Yes, R. Kelly's very talented. I ain't gonna spend any money on you, but okay.
Right. And it's, my thing is like your music reflects just how much of a fuckboy you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when Loyal came out, I'm like, if I was a hoe, I wouldn't be loyal to you either. People put your hands on me, so why would they? Exactly. It was like, it was very, I'm the victim here, and I could never clap to that.
Yeah. But did you notice also that people, this is another thing about the Twitter canceling, people didn't cancel him really when they were talking about him hitting Karrueche.
Yeah.
Is it because she's not black? Like,
no,
but that's shady to me too.
No, that is shady. They don't, for some reason, maybe it's her level of celebrity isn't on Rihanna's or whatever, or they're just like, oh, well, duh, he's a woman beater. So they're like, oh, well, you should have known better. But yeah, no, they didn't really care about Karrueche. Yeah. People forget about that. Like, they'll say things like, oh, she needs to get over it, and she's trying to just, you know, get on.
Trying to get a star.
I'm like, she kind of went through the same thing as Rihanna.
See, that's why I don't like the canceling culture. She actually probably went through it way longer because she was around for longer. And, well, I think she was around for longer, right?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely been documented longer.
Yeah. So, and she probably wasn't fighting. See, Rihanna, they were probably fighting each other. Karrueche probably was just getting beat up on. Like, and not saying that makes anything different, but I'm just saying, like, Karrueche probably can't fight back because she was so little. So she probably, I mean, I don't know. But it sucks that, like, oh, because she's not a black woman, that, like, oh, we don't have to cancel her for that. Like, oh, you can beat up on a white girl or exotic, a little, whatever. We don't know what race you are. But but still. So, but I do think it's because she's not like, she ain't fully black. Yeah, she's not fully black.
And you would think, like, so Chris Brown and Rihanna happened, like, pre-cancel culture. Mm-hmm. So, if we were even to think of it as less than Rihanna's situation, that should have been enough to be a cancel moment for Chris Brown.
Yeah.
But, like I said, the scales haven't changed in regards to his fans.
Right.
It still surprises me to this day.
Do you know who I need to cancel or what I need to cancel? It's so connected to this Snapchat because Rihanna said so. Rihanna was like, cancel Snapchat because they put out this ad about, would you rather punch Rihanna? Was it slap Rihanna or punch Chris Brown? Yeah. I'm like, who cleared that? Yeah. All these executives at Snapchat and nobody caught that? That is insane to me.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I was like, you know, it's probably one person who approves those things.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they got it. Yeah. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and this could have been a company that had been sending stuff in before and it hadn't been as ridiculous as that. And they tried it and then it got through. They were probably even surprised that it got approved.
For sure.
And then that took, like, to me, that's a valid cancellation.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you know what, y'all have been cutting up anyway as a company in the last couple of weeks. And then you come with this, all right, it's time to delete apps, it's time to, delete profiles. That's a valid cancellation.
Yeah, but are people doing it is the question. Because that's always my question.
Well, they lost $800 million, so.
But that doesn't mean necessarily that a ton of people deleted their account.
I think some people did. The Stans, the Navy, they did. The kids, grown-ups like me who like the filters.
The kids, you think the kids utilize Snapchat? When I just did this, speaking engagement for a bunch of kids. They're using Snapchat more than anything else. So I just can't imagine them like, oh, Rihanna said this, so I'm going to delete this because Rihanna said. Honestly, that's their only social media that they use. They don't use Facebook.
I'm not coming at the church again, but
but
a lot of the folks attending the super religious wedding, like that was how everybody in their church crew communicate with one another. It was through Snapchat. I thought it was demonic as far as like on a scale of devilish, but they rock with Snapchat hard. Like there's still people. I mean, I deleted the app as well last week, partly because my uses for it, I hadn't used it in I don't know how long. And I just went on to watch the stories of the few people who still did use it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you know what?
Yeah, I get like 5 views on Snapchat. I'm like, there's no point. Why am I here?
So it was no hard feelings to cancel it, but yeah, there's people still using it. Yeah. And there's people who, we know what's going on, but there are people who have no idea about this whole Rihanna ad debacle. So, if we were to go through a list of some of the recent problematic faves that people have, I want you to tell me why you think they've become problematic and if they can ever come back from it. And has the black community canceled them correctly in their assessment? So let's start with Monique. Was she worthy of cancellation? And it's funny we're talking about Netflix and cancellation. But was she worthy of cancellation?
To me, she was not worthy of cancellation. I have a difference of opinion than most people on that. I felt like she was justified to not take that amount because I do feel like she was worth more. So even though she's not super relevant, she still has her hardcore fan base. Right. And I feel like they could have offered her a little more money. So I don't know everybody was going against her, but she's right. She's right. Like these black women that have been working hard forever, they should be getting more money. I do know because I worked on her show. I do know that her husband is a problem, so I feel like that's really the problem. However, I do feel like they should have offered her more money, and I just felt like they were just like, okay, whatever, and they just kind of dismissed her because she's not Tiffany Haddish, but I do feel like she should have been offered more money. So I don't feel like she should have been canceled. I feel like people should have been more supportive of her.
I think it would be easier to support Monique if she went about it a different way. To me, it's one thing to be like, Netflix is treating me unfairly. This is what happened. I want you guys to cancel. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was weird because I was like, it's not enough money to me. But that's just me. But when she started going in on people, and once again, you're bringing up Oprah and you're bringing up Lee Daniels, and I'm just like, just talk about Netflix. Talk about your money. I get what you're saying. You're like, these people are treating me unfairly. But at this point, no one's going to listen to you because it just sounds like you're being bitter. Like you're just being bitter and you're trying to drag people and no one wants to hear the mess. So your message is getting lost because you're here bringing out receipts. Oh, my husband took this video and it shows Daddy. Excuse me. Daddy got this video and Daddy said, and you're arguing with people and telling radio personalities you're going to slap them. I'm not listening to you anymore because now you're just turning this into something else completely. So I don't really feel bad for you. Sorry.
Yeah, I definitely think Daddy. Dame Dash, please forgive me for calling another man.
Anytime these women are like, oh, I call my husband Daddy, it's always problematic. There's always something up. It never works out. It's just weird.
He's definitely a part of the problem. But I think her approach was completely off. And how, yes, Netflix was definitely wrong in throwing you $500,000. But when you threw Amy Schumer in it and her $13 million, that you can't, I don't think that she deserved $13 million.
Yeah, I definitely don't think she deserves that much.
I think if you had came back with, you know what, I'm a 4.5, I'm a 7, you know, and I can show these kind of numbers, you know, based off of X, Y, and Z, that might have been, you know, something to work with. But if you're saying, no, I want $13 million like Amy, as dusty as she may be, you know,
is Amy.
She got
has
pulled.
The audience.
She's selling out Madison Square Garden, and they're looking at like how many eyes is going to lay on whatever they produce,
right?
And if they already got stuff with your name attached to it on their platform, and they can see that your name ain't the biggest draw or anticipatory of new subscriptions, yeah, I can see that. But yeah, $500,000 was disrespectful.
Absolutely.
But my thing with her whole approach was she kept using, I can't think of the name of the movie, but it was an ensemble cast movie.
It's Almost Christmas.
Almost Christmas.
Yeah.
She kept using that as like her bench point for how much she could draw in because they brought in like $44 million. But I'm like, you weren't the only star in that movie.
You weren't.
She made the movie though.
Yeah.
She did. When
people were going out to see it, it wasn't like, oh, I got to see Monique. It was like, oh, Will Packer has a new film. I like Will Packer. Let me go see what he's talking about.
Yeah, but it was like Mike Epps was
No,
in
they
it.
do. They
Martin Lawrence was in
Think
it.
Like a Man. Like it's not. They weren't going for Monique.
The average person doesn't know producers' names. The average person just like, oh, it's the same. They may know that, but I don't think they're necessarily like. Oh,
so they went out to see Monique.
No, Monique in the promos. If you looked at the promos and you actually saw the movie, Monique stole everything, and Monique stole the promo, like the trailers alone. It's like, yo, this is about to be cool.
There were also a grip of other like
I would give the
high-profile black
cast
celebrities
more. They had Gabby Union. They had Gabrielle Union. They had Carrie Hilson. They had who else?
Carrie Hilson.
Was it like Danny Glover was in it?
Mike
Epps,
they had
a grip of people.
They had
in this movie.
different people who could track different audiences.
So it's not like it wasn't a solo vehicle for Monique. Then you could claim you brought in the 44, but it was kind of like you're shading the rest of the people in the cast, saying that they had nothing to do with any dollar that was generated for that movie.
And it's definitely hard to say, like, hey, I'm the one that made people go. Like, you can't really say that. You can't quantify that. You can't really, like, prove that. Right. So that's what's kind of interesting. But I do feel like she's valid in her point. However, it's just that she can't say that.
Right. Yeah.
She can't say that.
Yeah, she can't be the one to say that. Now, when her name is slipping my mind.
Oh, what'd she do? She was Kimberly Elise.
No, okay. the other comedian,
Wanda Sykes.
Thank you. Wanda Sykes came forward and was like, "Oh, you think you got played? They offered me even less, but since they disrespected me, I went somewhere else and got my money somewhere else." Like that's the solution,
right?
If you feel like they're not giving you your check, go get your check somewhere else.
I would agree.
Where else can she go though?
Wanda did something. I don't know.
Yeah, she got her check and she felt like wherever she went validated her enough and appreciated her enough.
Was it Hulu or something? I don't know.
It might have been, but like you might have been a better placement on Hulu because then you could be like, I'm the first black comedian to come here, versus Netflix where like they've been doing a lot of comedic specials lately, so you would have gotten lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Especially if they didn't really believe that you were going to be something, you would have got put on there and hopefully came up because of somebody's algorithm, as an option to watch. But
I would not watch a Monique special on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm not.
But that's just me. I know there are other people who would, but if it popped up, like, oh, are you still watching? Do you want to? I'd be like, no.
No, I'm good. I'm all right. But it's, I really think she went about that wrong. And then when I look at like all of these shows that Netflix has done in the last couple of years, to me, they kind of lead the market on like diversity and giving Black women opportunity. So to hear her complain about not getting a check when Shonda Rhimes just got one of the biggest checks at Netflix. And, you know, Regina King is doing her thing with 7 Seconds. And you see what the Roxanne Shante movie's about to come out. Like I'm saying, you know, they paying somebody? Somebody's cool with their checks. Cool.
They probably taking a pay cut, though.
Yeah. Maybe.
But sometimes it's worth it. But I liked how somebody was, I can't remember who it was, but they were saying, no, actually it was on the local radio. And they were just saying, like, take it. Like, just take it. And then the next one you can ask for more money. Like, sometimes you just have to take the L. Because you're really not taking the L.
It's not that much. It's 500,000 is not no damn L.
But it's not a lot of money to somebody like her. To us, that's a lot of money a year. But, you know, to somebody who's a millionaire, 500,000 ain't shit.
But
like,
how much you get paid for that Will Packer movie?
Shoot. Probably like, I don't know, 300, 200, 300,000.
So my thing is like, if you, and this is not shade to Monique in any way, if you're,
yes, it is.
Yeah, if your current tour is, you know, smaller venues and you may be getting 20, 30 a night, 50 a night, why not do your one bang for 2 years and chill? Yeah. Like you ain't got. If you feel like they disrespected you, don't give them your best material.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw Chris Rock's joint last week. He ain't give him his best material because I barely laughed.
Yeah.
So he got a couple mil off of that.
So you already know.
You know, save your good stuff for the road. Or that might be another vehicle for you to get back on the road and get bigger venues.
Yeah. Actually, that was another thing they were talking about on the radio, how Dave Chappelle had to actually, before people believed in him again, to give him the amount of money that he had to go on tour. And, you know, he was doing all those small venues. He did that for a year just to, like, get people to believe in him again. Right. Monique should have been like, all right, I guess we can talk about it next year. Like, you know, let's just follow up next year. True. Take this year, do a bunch of clubs, sell out, because now her shows are on Groupon and stuff. So it's like now you're just proving that, like, you're proving their point of why they didn't want us to give you any more money. But I think it's on Groupon because of her approach. I feel like that's probably why people aren't buying tickets. But she should have done the Dave Chappelle, like, let me make these people believe in me again. And then in a year from now, they might give her $1 million, right? But not now.
Because if you think about it, we were just starting to get cool with Monique again.
Yeah,
like we were cool with her. You know, we were rallying for her to make her comeback. Yeah. You know, we knew she had been done wrong in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. And this could have really have been, you know, that moment for her to show that I am easy to work with. So, you know, look at all of this that may happen. And she didn't. Nope. And I'm just curious as to how that has placed her now as far as opportunities, you know, because I don't think everybody's not working.
Yeah. Because now it's being shown that, oh, you're going to talk shit about me as soon as we're done with our project. As soon as you get mad at me, you're going to tell everybody what I did to you and X, Y, and Z. So now she's being shown as that person that's going to talk about you as soon as
more problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What about Trey Songz? And this is actually a new one. So in the last day or so, he recently turned himself in for domestic violence charges. I haven't seen the pitchforks yet.
So, I mean, he's been doing the same thing. He's been the aggressive with the grabbing the phone. Like, he has a really big... He actually grabbed my phone for me to take a picture, but he kissed me. So, but see how, like, something... justify. But that's the thing. Like, because it's like, oh, but he's sexy. But that's the point about this. Like, oh, but he's cute and he's sexy. So, we don't really... You know, people don't really care. Not that I'm not saying that I didn't care because of that. But it made me, like... As soon as he was aggressive. Grabbed my phone. He's like, no, I'll take it. And I was like, no, I want to take it. Grabbed my phone. Took a picture. So, I'm like... But at that moment, I was thinking, like, didn't he just get in trouble for breaking some girl's phone because he was grabbing people's phones and stuff? But because I'm like, oh, but he's so cute, I didn't even think about it at the time. And then after, I'm like, yo, he was being mad aggressive for over a picture. So, but I think it's because, like, which it could be the same thing with Chris Brown. It's like, oh, but you're so cute and you're so talented. But, I haven't seen any backlash. I'm still going to listen to Trey Songz, unfortunately. I'm just one of those people. I feel bad, but I do separate.
Lexi has no more
I do separate. I personally do separate the person from their music. Besides R. Kelly and Michael Jackson. But we don't have to talk about Michael.
So, you know what? If it came down to canceling Trey, it would be pretty easy for me because his music has been trashed the last couple of albums. Right. So I kind of semi-canceled Trey after
Which everyone had scratching me up on it. That was the last one I really liked. Other than that, I was like,
Yeah, it's been a solid 4 or 5 albums since I gave any kind of space for Trey Songz to do anything on a track. So it'll be easy for me to be like, okay, you know what? I'll pick up a pitchfork. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not even gonna pick up a pitchfork. I'm gonna let people do what they need to do as far as what choices they make for cancellation. Yeah. But I think that factors into it too, like how you relate or appreciate a person at the time of their potential cancellation is what decides what kind of space you fall on for them.
Yeah, I don't mind canceling Trey Songz at all. And I think the reason why people don't have their pitchforks is if you look at the girl, she's like a typical cute baddie who was at All-Star Weekend at this party, and they're like, oh, well, why would we believe her? They don't want to believe the girl, first of all, because they're like, oh, or it's, well, you shouldn't put yourself in that situation, or it's just, oh, well, there's no way Trey could do that. It has that sort of ick factor to it, and they're like, oh, he why would he do that?
But why does that come into play? So, like, all right, Lexi just said that, attractiveness may factor in sometimes when people cancel people.
Totally agree.
So why are we canceling her for being attractive?
That's just that's how it works.
It's sad that it works that way.
It's misogynistic as hell, but that is definitely how it works. It's like, well, she shouldn't have been there, and what was she doing that late at night with Trey Songz anyway, and all that type of shit. So
we start playing the blame game, for people instead of applying cancellations across the board.
But to that point about him being attractive, we hear that like all the time. That's even when was it the NFL player Darren Sharper was the one who was like a serial rapist? Was like, he could never. Why would he do that? Exactly. It's the same. It's like if you look a certain way, people are going to try and give you a pass up until that last minute, and they're like, "Oh, well, I guess they were right." Okay.
Yeah. Or even with with Bill Cosby. So a lot of these women were, up and coming models trying to get put on. Fairly attractive women. Beverly Johnson is a gorgeous woman. And they were quick to cancel her. Yeah. And then even think about before that, we hadn't had a black person in the whole Bill Cosby drama up until Beverly Johnson.
Yeah. She changed it.
Yeah, but even then we were like, not me.
I wasn't either.
I was saying like as a collective kind of voice.
Still we're like, what?
Yeah.
And see and that's a problem. That's why I don't agree with the whole cancel culture on Twitter, because y'all didn't care when y'all found out he had put slipping preludes in white people's drinks. Right. But now, because it's one black person, now you care? Like, that, I have a problem with that.
Like, when it was all white women, it was like, well, if a black woman come up, then we definitely, we agree. But then a black woman came and I was like, she was up there breaking up a happy home. What about Camille?
I need some more evidence.
So it's like, you can't satisfy the pitchforks, at any point. And it's like, honestly, I didn't stop watching A Different World.
Not at all.
And it's like, I think when you cancel somebody, you cancel all iterations of them. If it's late at night and ain't nothing on TV and a Cosby Show episode come on, I'm gonna watch it because I can, like you said, I can separate Bill Cosby the character from Bill Cosby the person, because Bill Cosby the person is an asshole to me. I remember him saying a lot of problematic stuff that we let slide for him being like a crotchety old man. But because we know of like Heathcliff Huxtable, and we have equated that with Bill Cosby instead of Bill Cosby being a man who had power in the 70s and 80s and used that in an improper way. So why do you think we don't apply that same, and I feel like this is becoming a thing now, like we don't use that same energy
I knew you were going to say that.
when it comes to like family members and friends who do the same things worthy of cancellation?
I have a problem with that. So one of my friends, when I was in college, was telling me about her uncle that molested her. So her mom is still around this person. She was still had to be around this person. I'm like, why? Your mom let you be around this person? So I know that's like extreme, but we're talking about people that are sexually assaulting people as well. But I'm like, so y'all mad at R. Kelly for messing with an underage woman and Ali and everybody else, but then because this person's your blood and they molested you, you okay with that? Because I was like, I kind of was like, you should be mad at your mom. Like, I felt that way. Like, you should be mad at your mom for allowing you to for allowing this man to still be around you. But I don't see. That's what I don't understand. Like, if you have people in your family that are beating, you know that uncle whatever is beating up on your aunt. You know that your uncle used to my mom was literally telling me that when she was growing up, her mom used to tell her, like, when you go over Uncle so-and-so's house, don't sit on his lap.
Yeah, we have, everybody has it's sad that this is a common link for a lot of families. Like, we all have that person who we knew was dating, somebody 5 or 6 years younger than them, or rolling around the high schools, or was touching people in the family in inappropriate ways. But we're mum's the word on that. We're not canceling them for Thanksgiving dinner. They still scooping on macaroni and cheese right next to us. At Christmas time, why don't we have that same energy for that? And then it goes back to this idea of, like, people just hiding behind their iPhone screens or their computer screens. Like, it's easy to rally up with a group of people who are all for the same, detriment of somebody else, versus you speaking up at the dinner table about somebody who done wronged the family. It just boggles my mind how we have been applied cancel culture where it would really be a benefit. We're not canceling churches for, not helping out their communities. We're not canceling, so-called heroes in our community for not doing what they're supposed to do. We let a lot of people slide. But let, somebody from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta say something reckless or irresponsible, and this is who they are to begin with. They've always been that way, and we canceling them. So it frustrates me because I really wish we used cancel culture for what it could actually benefit us for.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I don't know. I mean, because I may not cancel Chris Brown or whatever, but me putting extra money in his pocket, I don't look at it as though, like, I don't know. It doesn't, I guess I don't really see anything changing either way, whether I put money in his pocket or don't. I guess I don't look at it like that, but something when it's like a family member, like, that's just so serious. Like, if somebody's doing something, you don't care about these other people, like, you really should care about, like, something going on in your family or, like, whatever's going on, like, whatever they're doing wrong. But I don't know. Well,
on a less deep level, when are you supposed to cancel, like, your friends? Like, I am a constant canceller. I'm good for cutting somebody off. I am. Don't give me that face. Have you seen my block list? Yeah, I am.
And do you feel like that's something?
Who do you think we'll talk. I cancel a lot of people, actually.
But you don't cancel people that need to be canceled.
But I have, though. I haven't.
Well, your question is a valid question, and you're asking it for a reason, right? Because there may be some people that you want to cancel. So it's a valid question.
Do you feel like cancel culture and social media has better equipped you to cancel people in your personal life?
Yes. But for me, even before, like I don't really block people. I might have blocked a couple people on Instagram, but I mean, even just on my phone, like, no text message, no phone call, none of that. Like, I'm good for that one. But it's like, we can be so forgiving with some other people, but then with some people, it's like, oh, you did one thing wrong. I don't care. You're canceled. It's done.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had conversations with friends, and they're telling me about other friends and what they did. And they're like, I can't believe such and such, was 15 minutes late. I'm canceling it.
It's a wrap.
Right.
It's
and I'm like,
over.
But you let somebody else who constantly is, flaking out on you and stuff. And you still like, I'm going to such and such event with them. But they constantly flake on you. So people are weird on how they apply their cancel culture abilities. And then a lot of people are faking. Like when they cancel somebody. You see that a lot where, like I said, they got their pitchfork out, but secretly
they listen to their Chris Brown album.
Right, they got their Chris Brown album bumping.
They got it on repeat.
Right, they on Instagram talking about how long the new album is, but on Twitter talking about I never listened to it.
I don't even like Chris like that.
So
that's exactly why I just don't like the whole Twitter cancellation, because I know people in real life, me and Danny know people in real life. It's like, you talking all that mess on Twitter, but then you be at home doing whatever, or you be with your Shea Buttery Queen, but talking about them on, talking about them on social media. So it's social media is just a big facade anyway. So I just feel like it's just, people are faking.
Well, that reminds me of during the Olympics when there was a whole thing about Gabby Douglas not having her hair done.
Yeah.
But not even a week ago, you was Big Chop. This is me. I am not my hair. This woman is making history, and you worried about whether her ponytail is applied appropriately. Like, it blew my mind.
It's so blurred.
And I would never even say this stuff out loud. That's the other thing. I feel like Twitter gives people this like big push and like whatever their courage to talk about people. And I would never, like, a lot of stuff that I see on Twitter, I would never say that. I would never at that person, like the way that they at these celebrities. And sometimes I love when the celebrities clap back at like regular fans, because I'm like, yo, how dare you, like, just like, but people are so like, it just gives people the courage just to like start stuff. And really they're just trying to start stuff, just to start stuff to see how far it can go. But
absolutely.
I don't know. But it's usually something very negative. But again, like you said, they don't really do it for positive stuff that much. It's not really, every now and then you'll see, share this because it's a positive black woman story, but you very rarely see that. So most people just want to be negative. I just think social media breeds negativity.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. We're going to take a brief break, but we're going to come back and finish our conversation on this episode of Ungentrified after a word from one of our sponsors. This episode of Ungentrified is brought to you by Black and Abroad. Black and Abroad is an online travel community dedicated to inspiring and celebrating the experiences of Black travelers and expats. To find out more about the Black and Abroad community, visit weareblackandabroad.com.
I see this. I don't know if it's going to result in a call for cancellation, but so maybe 2 days ago, the GQ article about Diddy came out, and one of the bits that have been talked about lately is about he and Jay-Z working together on an app for the black community to find like other black businesses. And there's been, I don't even want to call it a fire, like a spark around Diddy capitalizing on what's hot versus him actually being someone who wants to further the culture. And, being woke and being aware of what's going on. And fist raise is very much a trend right now. And I hate to say it that way because some of us, it hasn't been a trend for it. It's very much innate to us. But for a lot of us, it is very trendy. So is he capitalizing on a trend, or is this something that he really believes in? Because like, Diddy's had the money and the ability to do these things for quite some time. Why now? Is it because he sees a need? And that could be what's happening for a lot of us. Up until a couple of years ago, we didn't feel like we had to be woke. Or to the level of wokeosity that we are now. Is it him capitalizing? Is it because it's a time where response to it would be better than 5 or 6 years ago where we didn't feel like it was necessary?
So my thing on Diddy is he's different than most black millionaires. He dates black women. Like, he's always dated black women. And so I think things like that, he went to HBCU. And Brown.
Don't forget J-Lo.
Oh, yeah. But you see that didn't last. I think was fake. I think that was just like, she's the hottest girl in the game right now. I think that was kind of phony. But you can tell he loves black women. He went to HBCU. So anytime I see somebody that goes to HBCU, I'm automatically like, okay, you care about your people. Like, you actually wanted to go here. That's just how I feel if you went to HBCU. Not that people that went to PWIs don't feel that way. But I feel like he's always cared about the culture. Now, he probably may not have noticed because he's so rich that he may be not in his and he's in his bubble. And maybe somebody had to tell him, like, everybody else is struggling. Black businesses are not, they're failing. Like, he may have been in his bubble. Maybe somebody had to push him. But I do think that it's genuine. I honestly feel like it's genuine. Like, I feel like he's a genuine person when it comes to that, like working with other black people or like trying to get people to go to black businesses. But I may just be judging that based on he actually dates. Like, these other millionaires, they out here with these white women, X, Y, and Z. I don't think they really care. I know he did his tweet not too long ago about appreciating black women, But again, that could have been fake or something too. But I think that he is genuine.
For me, I've always seen that Diddy has been a purveyor of like Black culture. Mm-hmm. So I don't see that as him saying, "Oh, we can capitalize off of this." Yeah. I'm looking at it as this is an opportunity for it to have a bigger impact than it might have had a couple of years ago. Yeah. And people often forget that things are happening even when you don't see them. Yeah. I mean, you see that a lot with like Jay-Z and Beyonce. When I was like, well, what are they doing for the community? And then 6 months later, it comes out that they were doing some major shit.
They're bailing people out of jail, like doing all types of stuff.
But of course, that gets pushed under the rug. So who's to say that, you know, these things weren't happening in spaces that we weren't familiar with or didn't know? And because he's now spoken up on it in a bigger platform, it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what I'm working on. People are, you know, anxious to cancel. And I think that happens a lot too. People are so ready to cancel the next person. Sometimes that's when people get lost in just wanting that moment of being able to rally behind something negative that they don't care who it is.
They don't. I feel like, I mean, someone has to start somewhere. So you can't, I mean, if you come out one day saying, hey, I want to do this, people can't say, well, you never talked about it before. Like, okay, but he's talking about it now.
Right.
So it's like, you have to start at some point because anybody can say at any point. I mean, if he did it 10 years ago, well, damn, you've been a millionaire for like the past 20 years, so why you didn't do it back then? So we can always say that. So I just think that people just are, I don't know.
I wouldn't accuse Diddy of being disingenuous about that. If it was like somebody else, maybe, but not Diddy. Nah, I think he truly cares.
Yeah, me too. And that's why when I saw it, I was like, I don't know if this is a brigade that's going to happen. Like, this cancel is not on the schedule.
It's not on the docket today. Let's try something else.
That's funny.
All right, so to wrap up our discussion of cancel culture in our community, what do you think we can do going forward as a collective to kind of get away from cancel culture? Or do you see it getting any better anytime soon?
I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon. You know, someone who was actually recently canceled, Erykah Badu, would always say this thing about...
But that's another great one. I don't know why I didn't think about her.
You know, she did the thing about... What was she talking about? Hitler?
Yeah. But that wasn't her first time either.
Really?
Like, she said some sketchy stuff before when she was talking about, like, women dressing a certain way.
Oh, the girls. Yeah. She was saying girls shouldn't wear skirts to school because they'll entice the boys and the teachers. Yeah. And I'm like, what type of... Right.
And there were calls for cancellation for that, and people kind of slid by because you know she's Queen Mother Vote. You know, nobody would dare. So she says a lot of weird things, and you know I don't follow Erykah like that, so I just let it go. I'll be like, okay, it's Erykah being weird to Erykah again. But she always talks about like groupthink, about how you know when one person says something, then the whole group kind of harps on it, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I agree with that." Same thing. So I'm like, so that is so prevalent that I don't see it changing. You can encourage people to have like their own mind and their own thoughts, but just with the way society is right now, I don't see that really going anywhere.
Yeah, I think social media is only going to it's only going to get worse. We're going to have more platforms to hate. And that's really essentially, I just feel like social media, it breeds so much negativity, which is why I don't go on any of them and just scroll. And I actually, I had a couple of quotes in USA Today about Facebook, and from one of the articles. Yeah, there was an article.
Wait, you were in it?
I was in it.
Did you hear that humble brag? Hold on. You know, I actually had something in USA. I was like, did you say that? I actually just had something in USA Today. They quoted me, Lexi the Curls. Yeah,
I was the only person quoting an article, and it was like it was right after. It was like right after Facebook just announced that it was like a big announcement about their engagement going down and everything.
Oh yeah, when they changed the timeline.
Yeah, it was maybe like a month ago. I'll send you guys the article, but I talked about like Facebook. All of these, they breed so much negativity that like people aren't really engaging as much anymore. But people still like that negative stuff. They still like it. So I don't see cancellation culture. I don't see that going anywhere. It's just going to get worse. But now it's going to be even more simple things. But it's still always temporary. Everything is temporary. Like if they do it to Trey Songz, it's going to be for like 2 weeks. Then guess what? He's going to be performing at the next big show, and you're going to buy your ticket. Chris Brown, I mean, as far as we know, he's assaulted 2 women. Mm-hmm. He still has these videos. He's still working with every major producer. He's still working with every major artist. So yeah, it's just, I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah. I think Twitter brought this monster in because it gave us an accessibility to celebrities that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
Like, think about it, even with Facebook, we didn't have this, 1 degree away from celebrities that we do now. Mm-hmm. We can all at somebody, whether or not they may see it or respond to it, but we feel like we're so much more closer to them than we actually are. And there was a lot of people who I thought were cool, and then I saw them spewing out their thoughts every day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to follow you so I can continue to like you.
Right. Yeah.
And when that space kind of came into play, that's where cancel culture came shortly after that. Absolutely. So as long as we have this, short leash between, us and people who we deem as celebrities, we're always going to feel like we can cancel it for any reason. Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes there's this unreasonable expectation of people because we feel like we're closer to them.
Yeah.
I think it happens in Atlanta too. And that doesn't have anything to do with social media because we're in a city where we see celebrities on a regular basis. We feel closer to them than maybe somebody in Idaho.
Right. Yeah.
So if we saw them cutting up, at Houston's or at the club, we might be quicker to cancel them versus somebody who heard it, 3 and 4 people away. So,
it's funny. Atlanta will have you so jaded. Like you'll see a celebrity and you'll forget that like this is like a legit famous person. Yeah. Like I think it was like T.I. or somebody. I was somewhere and I'm walking. I was like, "Hey, what's up, Tip?" Yeah. So anyway, and I'm like, "What am I doing?" I'm like, "It's T.I." I'm like, you just get so comfortable. You're like, "Oh yeah, you do stuff," and people probably freak out when they talk to you, but you're just like, yeah.
And then people be ready to cancel you because they always talking about they seen such and such because I did.
Right. Like, I don't really care. I'm just telling you, like they were there. Yeah.
So to close that out, cancel culture needs to be canceled, but there's too many people subscribing to watch.
Yes.
So it's going to have a long run as long as social media has its day.
Absolutely.
Speaking of this, we need to pitch a show about this to Bossip.
About cancel.
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, and just from you bringing it up, there's so many different things, but just looking at also, does it affect the person? Because the only person that so far that I've seen it really, really, truly affect, I think it's going to affect Monique hard. It affected Chris Brown temporarily, but like even just seeing like what happens after.
But think about recently Carrie Hilson talking about like how when she was at the height of her career, or what should have been the pinnacle of her career, she was incredibly depressed, and we all know what that stemmed from people. Like that was really the first kind of like super cancel.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. She was super canceled.
Yeah, that was the first like real formation of the Beehive was to rally up against her. Yeah. I mean, we think about like cancellations of like the 80s and 90s. We think like Milli Vanilli, but like that's I'm sure it pales in comparison to how we cancel people now.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, but like that's a prime example of how it's impacted someone behind, the tweet or behind the Instagram story or post that we don't really get to see. I'm glad that she was open enough to talk about that.
Yeah.
But then it's at the same time, it's like, do people really hear it?
Yeah.
Because they still have them on, or still have her on their cancellation list, even though we work in a 24-hour cycle for a lot of stuff. That's just one thing they will not let go.
Yeah. No, they don't let that one go at all.
All right, so the next segment that I have for you guys is called pre-gentrification, and it's really something that is on your radar before it gets stolen by white people. Like, what's something that's hot to you right now? And you may not even want to give it up because you don't want it to be stolen. Well, what's something like you discovered or that's hot to you right now that you feel like is you got it and you're not sharing it with everybody, or you just started sharing it with folks?
I need an example. What's yours?
What's mine? So right now I have been on, and it's new to me, so that's why I'm claiming it. Amazon Prime Now grocery shopping.
Yo, 2 of my friends were on Insta story like, oh, look at my Amazon Prime groceries. I'm like, okay.
Whole Foods.
I feel bad because my mama put me on.
Yeah.
I went home for Thanksgiving and she was like, oh, what you need to cook? Because I've been the cook in the house for Thanksgiving the last couple of years.
Okay,
and
chef.
I do a little something. So she was like, what you need? I was like, oh, I sent her, I texted her my list. And an hour or so later, it was at the house.
Wow.
I was just like, yo, what's going on? She was like, what? Oh, you don't know?
Oh, you don't know about this?
Yeah, you don't know?
Late?
Yeah.
And then, see, I live in Black Decatur. So, so like, whenever Amazon rolls out something, even though I'll be close to, like, one of their distribution centers, I'm not a part of the initial rollout because I'm one exit outside of 285. This is the real Atlanta conversation.
Yes, it is.
So I'm always a part of, like, the second wave. So they recently opened up to my zip code.
to Black Decatur.
Right, to Black Decatur. So Sprouts has been getting all of my money lately. And
Sprouts is nice.
Sprouts is nice. Hey, hot tip. The kombucha at Sprouts is cheaper than it is like everywhere else.
Oh, okay.
Really?
And that's super.
That's so bougie.
That's super gentrified, right?
That is the most gentrified bougie thing.
But that's what really kind of tipped the scale for me. And I was like, all right, I can't do it anywhere else. So that's fine. So that and on Duolingo, I've been hyping up. Well, I have a trip coming up to Colombia twice in the next couple of months. So I've been trying to like brush up on my Spanish again and brush up and be like full on like Espanol. So Duolingo now has where you can have conversations with bots on there. So like I had a full on conversation with a bot in Spanish and it really helped me out as far as like getting my Spanish game up. So shout out to Duolingo.
Okay.
That's fancy.
Helping your boy become fully linguistic and polyglot.
Bilingual.
Right.
Excuse
so that I
me.
can go to the DR and really act like I'm a local on the phone.
Yeah, they'll think you're from there.
Blend right in.
That and I feel like with Black Panther coming out and everybody being super Wakanda'd up, that people are really in the U.S. are really going to start getting put onto Afro beats a little bit more. And I've been keeping that as like my baby for the last like year or so. So like I have jams that I bring home for me anytime I go to like South Africa or to any part over there. And I'll be bumping them on the low for me and be putting people on. But now I feel like it's slowly coming up. But like I heard 2 songs that are like hot stuff in South Africa right now in the movie, and I was like, man, everybody about to be playing this.
Like, no, that's mine.
Right, it's mine. But look, really, I done jacked it from them, so I'm the gentrifier in this case.
Look at you, gentrifying.
Good ones. Those are good ones. Danielle.
No, don't put it on me.
I know, because I was trying to think of something that I discovered recently that I just like. I don't want too many people to get on.
That you want to keep for yourself.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm like literally.
Have you guys seen On the Block on Netflix?
No.
It's this new show.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, so I don't know when it dropped on Netflix, but it's based in LA. And it's these 4 brown and black kids, and it's kind of like a coming of age story for them. So I started watching that this weekend, and I was surprised that in the first episode there wasn't a single white person. Like I picked up on that quick. I was like, okay. And it was kind of funny, so I'm gonna watch that. So before everybody else, I'm inviting you to get on that. So I have to
we have your permission to do. Thank you, Kent. I will watch since you graciously allowed me to. In that same vein, you watched The Chi?
No.
Yes.
So everyone's been telling me I need to get on it. So the season just ended, right?
Yeah, yes, literally on Sunday.
So did it end on a good? Like, did it match the beginning? Did it have that same energy?
Oh, yeah, it kept that same energy. It is a really good show. I'm so glad. I don't even know how I found out about it.
Shout out to Lena Waithe.
Lena Waithe is amazing. She's great. Like, it's so well written, and then it's just, I love how all the stories kind of connect. It's a really good show. Yeah. So I don't want white people to steal that. Let me have my shot.
Because the more they take it, then it starts, the next season start getting worse and more. Any show, once everybody's on it, then the season starts getting watered down. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to add that to my
You have our permission. You can watch it.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think. I'm still trying to think of something. Something that I don't like. Something that I like live by. Oh. Okay, I'll give you something simple. That I had the what's the Amazon thing? Alexa. What's that?
The personal assistant thing? It's not Alexa?
Well, you call it Alexa, but the item.
The personal
It's called an Alexa, right?
No, it's not called an Alexa.
The voice assistant thing.
I forgot what the actual name of it is. Like, it's
not an Amazon. I wanted to call it a HomePod, but that is Apple.
No, it's like a thing. Okay. Well, that thing. So I got it from like an event like 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, you finally started using it?
And then I finally started using it. I'm like,
the Echo.
Echo. Yes, I cannot think of the name of it. And I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. So, and I didn't even pay attention to it. Even when I did start turning, I did plug it up. Like when my dad was home, I was like, let's play with this. So he wanted to know like, what football games are on today? And I'm like, hey Alexa, what football games are on today? And then it like ran through all of them. And I'm like, this thing is like super cool and smart. And then my friend the other day told me that you can say like, hey, give me the news. And it'll just read off the top news stories of the week and give you like a snippet of it. And I'm late, but I guess, I don't know, because everybody still doesn't have it though. Yeah. But like, Echo is amazing. Like you could do anything like what's the mother?
Did your Echo start laughing at you?
I didn't have it plugged in at the time. I heard about
it. Did you hear about that?
No.
That was doing like some creepy laugh or something.
Yeah.
It laughs at people?
On its own. Like it would just start laughing out of nowhere. And
that
it was freaking people out.
Creepiest thing ever.
Well, it's creepy anyway because like if I have someone in my house and they say mine, if they say Alexis, and then it'll start talking. So it's like kind of annoying in my house if there's someone that's saying my name. But no, it's actually really cool. So I suggest everybody not get it so that way they don't go up on the prices. But it's actually really cool, and you should, it's been amazing in my household. And you can order stuff with it. Like, hey, order Bentley. I bought my parents one for I bought them a nice one like wood grain and stuff because they have like nice little ones. I bought them a jazzy one.
I like wood grain.
You do? Okay.
I do.
But they should,
I'm just throwing it out there.
Amazon, if you're listening, I mean, everything's listening to us these days.
You're right.
Amazon,
I know you're listening, Amazon. I know you hear this.
But they should, I'm surprised they don't give you the option to call it by something else. Because if your name is something close to Alexa.
What if my name is Alexa?
Or Alexa, that must be frustrating for you, right?
Yeah. Because my thing would definitely be like, yes, and to start talking. So, No, that would be cool.
Yeah, if you could change it to like, you could name it.
Yeah.
And then have it do that. I'm gonna cut that out because I'm gonna say that and pitch it to them.
Right.
For version 2.0.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would love that.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for not canceling me.
Never.
And having this chat with me today about cancel culture. Tell the people where they can find you.
Okay, so this is Lexi. So you can find me on Instagram at LexiWithTheCurls.com, and you can find me on Twitter, not canceling people, at LexiWTheCurls.
Right. And you can find her in these streets.
In these streets, most importantly.
In Midtown.
Look for the girl with the blonde curly hair. That's Lexi.
College Park.
College Park. This is Dani. You can follow me at I am Dani Canada. That's DANI, Canada like the country, on Instagram and Twitter.
Right, thank you. And of course, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, the church community announcement board with the same username, Kent_ESQ. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Ungentrified. Thanks, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.